Hello everyone. Today we bought a Data Traveler Micro Kingston USB stick, which is 256 gigabytes and USB 3.2, and apparently can do 200 megabytes per second. We bought this because we had an old one which is 64 gigabytes and USB 3.1 for 3 to 4 years, and it is very durable. It has survived falls, being underwater, and everything else you can think of. That may be because we have this very old USB protector, maybe not. Now let's unbox and test the bigger one. Here it is. We like these a lot because they're very small and they're made out of metal. Now let's test it. We're going to plug it in a capable computer, and in the back, because here it has a USB 3.2 slot. It's plugged in. It appears here. Here it is, completely empty. It is 256 gigabytes as advertised, but formatting it can eat a bit of storage. And we're going to copy this 6.2 gigabyte file to it to test the speeds. We cannot copy the files over because it uses a very old file system, so now we're going to format it and use a new one. Use simple volume. Next, next, next. USB disk. And we're going to use the NTFS file system. So now let's try to copy the file to check the maximum speed. For some reason it is going very slowly, even though the system has no problem with going faster. We're copying the files from a SATA 3.0 SSD to the USB disk, which is plugged into a USB 3.2 slot. It took us around 3 minutes to copy this file over to the USB. Now let's try copying it back to see the speeds. Here is the file on the USB disk, and we're going to copy it over to the SSD. That was very fast. Now let's try copying it back again. It is still very slow. So that means if you're copying files to the USB, it's going to be around 30 megabytes per second no matter what. But the copying back was probably faster because the file may have been saved in a temporary space on the C disk on the PC, so it wasn't actually copying from the USB but just repasting the files to the SSD and just deleting it from the USB. Now we're going to copy files directly from the old USB to the new one using the USB 3.2 ports on the computer. Here is the old USB. It has 41.6 gigabytes of files on it. And now we're going to copy them all over to the new one and check the speeds. It is 3 times slower than copying from an SSD to directly the new USB. That may be because the old one is using only USB 3.1, or maybe because it has aged and slowed down over time. Now we're going to copy the files from the old USB to an SSD, and then from the SSD to the new USB. Let's see. Surprisingly, copying from the old USB to an SSD is going at almost 200 megabytes per second. That means from both USBs, if you're copying from it to a drive, it's going to be much faster than copying files from the drive to the USB. At the halfway point, this USB also slowed down by a lot. As you can see, it is completely stopping for some reason. Now it's back up to speed. Now we are going to copy the files from the SSD over to the new USB. It's the same as the last time. It slows down to 30 megabytes per second and stays there. We don't know yet if the USB fully stops when copying a lot of files, and we will let this run, and if it happens, then we're going to record it. Now it says that an unexpected error is keeping you from copying the file. It says it's no longer valid. Let's try it again. It does not want to work. So now we have retried copying the files. It said after I retried that the file was corrupted, and when I checked, the USB itself got corrupted. And that may be because to the touch right now it's getting very hot, so it may have overheated. We're going to let this run. It's soon about to be at the exact file which it crashed at, so let's see. This is how the old USB works on an older computer. It somehow is faster than the new one. Here is the speed with the new USB, which is the 256 gigabyte one, on the older computer. Somehow here it is keeping up to the speed that was set on the box. We do not know why on the newer, stronger, much more expensive computer it cannot keep up to its specs. Even the new USB, when plugged into the old computer, it is working much faster, and into the new one too. It heats up to around 40-45 degrees, just like the other one.